It's a pleasure to be speaking to all of you. By profession, I am an orthopedic surgeon. For those of you who do not know, orthos means straight, and I am a straight man standing before you. So what am I doing here, Why am I speaking on bending rules? Well, I am here to convince you, that it's important to bend rules when it is required. Now, suffering has been a part of human history ever since, even before Christ, after Christ, before Mr. X, Y, Z. It's always there, it's been there, and these pictures immortalize suffering. This is 520 years before Christ. This is in the 1600s. Have a look where the arrows are marked, the position of the feet, Definitely, it has been a source of disability. It exists even today. Well, this girl has never stood. This is a mode of ambulation. That's how she moves around in a house and everywhere, She has suffered the ravages of poliomyelitis. And then there are others who acquire other problems. This girl, because of obesity, the upper pain, because of obesity, the knee is completely deformed, This is a form of a disease, obesity is the disease. The lower pain is a birth defect where the thigh bone is not developed. We call it the femur, and you can see that femur is very, very poorly developed. I don't know if you can see that, but that is that femur there. Or these conditions, these are also birth problems, and these are horrible conditions, where the spine is bent, a congenital scoliosis, or problems with the hand. In the 1980s, when I was in my early training period, India had a lot of general orthopedic surgeons. They were the ones who were treating everything. But they were so busy with accidents and emergencies, they had no time to treat children. Children's problems were dealt with very superficially, and very simple problems were seen. The complex problems were left untreated. There was no concept of specialization. Everyone was a generalist orthopedic surgeon. To break away from the mainstream was really a daunting task. I love children, and my love for children made me feel, could I make the world a better place for them, at least in their physical lives, could I do something for them? So love for children, earth little angels, idea, bend the rules, don't follow what everyone was doing. Why not specialize for them? There was a need for specialization because the child population of India is about 31%. In today's parlance, this is 500 million children, and physically handicapped, more than 2%. In addition, there are problems of fractures, injuries, infections, developing problems. As the child grows, there are problems. So there's so many problems. It's a very high percentage. How could we leave them alone, Pediatric orthopedic services were necessary for this country. The spectrum was huge. This is perinatal. Before birth, antenatal scans can tell you that the leg is crooked. It's marked by those arrows there. So that's a clubfoot. Antenatal MRIs can be done, and that can give you more details of other problems. These can be treated very simply today by means of plasters and a minor surgery, and the feet can be straight for a lifetime. Well, a horrible problem, weak bone with a lot of bend in the bone, the thigh bone and the leg bone is bent, and at surgery, the bone is so curved, We have to break it into smaller, straighter pieces and thread a nail through it. This child is growing, The nail has to grow. A simple concept of an antenna, the nail opens up as the child grows. Well, a special problem in pediatric orthopedics, dwarf. They are limited sometimes in their functional capacities because of their height. 1968, the Times advertised, boy, and this was 20, and he was not bad, 5 feet 7 inches, wanted to increase his height by 3 inches to 5 feet 10 inches. But there were no takers. We could not do anything back then, 1968. Well, now it's possible to enhance the stature. So we lengthen one limb. You see the amount of raise this child is wearing on the opposite side. Then we lengthen the opposite side and his stature has increased dramatically. So that is pre, this is post. His legs look long, so we can elongate the upper limbs. I am not showing you the full sort of history of this patient, but that is what is possible. These are done by external apparatus, But with the progress of technology and engineering, you all are responsible for it. Well, we have now internal nails. The nails can be inserted within the bones. They are driven by magnets. The nail has a magnet. And there is an external remote controller, the one on the right, and that is the nail. And there is a gearbox, and then it can open up so you can distract, and with that you can elongate the limb. So this boy, 4 feet 10 inches, wanted just 3 inches more, same like the advertisement in 1968. We thought we would do it for him. He also had deformities, bowing of the legs. So we corrected that and lengthened him, and this is his picture, 5 feet 1.5 inches, and very, very happy. He sent these pictures to me. Well, the similar concept can be used in the spine for spinal deformities, because these are increasing, these are progressive, The child is still growing. We cannot halt that growth of the spine, We cannot do anything permanent. We can put in magnetic rods, elongate those rods by means of the external controller, and when the child has finished growth, we can do the definitive surgery, the final surgery. So 1980s in India, well, some general orthopedic surgeons were interested in pediatrics, but there were only 2, maybe 3 centers all over the country really doing any significant volume of pediatric work. We took the initiative of organizing the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of India, the job of which was to propagate pediatric orthopedics and pediatric orthopedic treatment. And today we have coverage all over the country. There are quite a few pediatric orthopedic surgeons specializing only for children. The load per pediatric orthopod, 500 million children. We have less than 100 specialized pediatric orthopedic surgeons. So 5 million, per pediatric orthopedic surgeon, which is a huge load. And what about our rural children? We are barely able to cater to them because the surgeons are all in the cities. There's hardly anyone in the rural areas, So still it's an untapped area where lots need to be done, and we are responsible for this. We are taking steps to have coverage for the rural children. So now I bent the rules. I became a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, specialized, because it was needed. I felt that was a need, and that need had to be fulfilled, Well, there was a lot of angst. I didn't know what my future would be, professionally, financially, what would happen. I was discouraged quite a lot by my colleagues not to do that, But looking back, how has bending the rules impacted me? Well, a successful career and recognition as a pioneer, as a mentor, and as a source of inspiration. Then ideas and innovations, because it was an untapped area, a lot of ideas and innovations could take place, a lot of innovations could take place because a lot of ideas came. I show you one example, Where do these ideas come from, Now looking at this dancer, well, Does this give you an idea? We have a dancer sitting in our midst. Does this give you an idea? Conventionally, neck movements, as the Western literature knows, forward bending, backward bending, side bending, both sides, and rotation to the left and to the right. Now, what is this movement? Well, I call it the lateral gliding movement of the neck, and we try to study what happens and where does it happen, and it's very, very interesting. Now, this is a form, dance movement, which is very well known amongst the Indian dancers. The Sundari Bheda, Sundari Griva, or the Griva Bheda. Griva Bheda is the classification of neck movements for dance, and this is the Sundari Griva. What happens? Well, the neck has two large muscles. These are called the sternomastoid. They attach from the sternum to the mastoid process of the skull. And these two large muscles are responsible for the excursion of the neck from side to side. Now, we have a condition called as torticollis, where one of these muscles is contracted, as you see on the right pane. It's marked by the arrow there. And because of that, there is restriction of movement. Because there is restriction of movement, a lot of movements cannot take place. Notably, the gliding will be affected because gliding is dependent on the excursion of the sternomastoid muscle. So, we worked out the biomechanics of this. Well, you have the dashed blue line. The first dashed blue line is the sternomastoid, it's small. Then the solid blue line is a long sternomastoid. So, if you have a short sternomastoid, the excursion of that sternomastoid, what it is going to allow will be small, as shown by the base, the small arrow. You have a large sternomastoid, you have a larger excursion. This is based on the Pythagorean theorem. You have the hypotenuse. So, that's the hypotenuse, and the opposite side. More the hypotenuse, more will be the opposite side. So, this is very, very simple. Now, this tightness of the sternomastoid or contracture can be used, the gliding test can be used as a test for diagnosis that the muscle is contracted, and vice versa, it can be used also for treating these cases of congenital torticollis. So, that's what followed from this particular innovation. And then, of course, further impact lifelong relationships with patients, with colleagues. It's especially heartening for me when my patient win medals, name and fame, national and international, because they have succeeded against all odds. All odds really. The girl who won the Limca record for planks is a scoliosis patient, and she has the record for the largest time that anyone can hold the plank, And this is another, and this is a chess grandmaster from Bombay. Recently he was in the news, and he has actually osteogenesis imperfecta, the ones I showed you, the weak bones. So we have touched life in different ways. These are all my trainees, and so to say, we pass the legacy, pass the torch, to my trainees here, and they are really an energetic, vivacious lot, and they impact me in many, many ways. So, said that small diversions can create huge differences, and a small diversion in my path created big differences. So, bending the rules is important. I would like to quote Robert Frost from his poem, The Road Not Taken, written in 1915. Two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the road less traveled. I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. It has indeed been a gratifying journey. Gratifying for me, I have got much more than what I have given in terms of different facets of life. Really, it's been very, very gratifying. And I cannot ask for more. To see someone who's born with deformed hands and performing this well. This patient of mine is in the USA and he's a sound engineer himself, and he's done many albums, It's indeed very, very gratifying, So friends, I would like to part by telling you or by requesting to you, please bend the rules. Not for narrow self-interest, but for the bigger interest of humanity. And you'll never regret it. Thank you very much for your attention.